Big shout out to Tommy V in Michigan. He was on fire this morning.
Okay, thank you, Tommy V in Michigan. Yes, sir. If you share my prayers.
Tommy V's on. Yeah, we'll jump over there. How about that?
Thank you. The 37th Circuit Court is now in session with the Honorable Brian K. Kirkham presiding. It is Monday, April 8th, 2024 at 10:59 a.m. And this is for case 2024-462 PP, Tiffany Osborne versus Shane Osborne, Attorney Wickham for plaintiff and Attorney Bailey Hobbs for defendant.
Good morning to everyone. Court will note that this matter is before the court on the defendant's motion to terminate the personal protective order in this matter and plaintiff's motion to show cause for violation in this particular case. So why don't we address the defendant's motion first, as that was filed first. Ms. Bailey Hobbs, are you ready to proceed?
I am, Your Honor.
Ms. Wickham?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Bailey Hobbs, do you wish to make an opening statement or proceed to proofs?
Your Honor, I believe we have limited time today, so we can just proceed to proofs.
Okay. Ms. Wickham, do you wish to reserve or waive your opening statement?
I'll waive my opening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Bailey Hobbs, you can proceed and call your first witness.
Your Honor, I'd like to call my client, Mr. Osborne.
Okay, Mr. Osborne, if you would raise your right hand, we'll have you sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Bailey Hobbs.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Osborne, how old are you?
I am 55.
And how do you know the petitioner, Tiffany Osborne?
I am married to Tiffany Osborne.
How long have you guys been married?
22 years, roughly.
Have you read the petition for personal protection order that Ms. Osborne submitted to the court?
I have.
Okay, and she's made allegations against you in that personal protection order. Are those allegations true?
No, they are not true. They are, to my knowledge, completely falsified to fit the narrative that she's trying to achieve.
Mr. Osborne, the first allegation that Ms. Osborne made was regarding January 30th, 2024. Do you recall that date?
Very vividly.
Can you briefly state what happened?
Well, Mrs. Osborne was sleeping all day from 3:30 until 10 o'clock at night. I was in band practice. I took my kids to the grocery store, got some food, came back. Miss Tiffany Osborne woke up at 10 o'clock at night, and she decided that she was going to go off on both of our kids and started with my youngest daughter and told her that she was a spoiled little bitch and she's going to ride the bus now and she's privileged and doesn't do this. And then she moved on to my other daughter because she came home to let her know that she was going to use her phone and she didn't get her out of bed on time. So she lost her job and it was her fault. And then my phone rang while I was out working in my barn. And my youngest daughter, Peyton Paisley, said, "You better lock the door. Mommy's being crazy again."
Okay, court will sustain the objections. Mr. Osborne, you can't testify to what somebody else said.
Okay, I apologize for that.
It's fine.
So she comes, somebody said, my phone rang and somebody said, "Better lock the door." So I go to lock my door before I got into the door.
Sustain. The court will strike the answer. Mr. Osborne, you can't say what somebody else said. I just said that. So either you're not listening or you're disregarding my admonition. So don't say what somebody else said, other than the petitioner.
Your Honor, may I redirect my client?
Yes,
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Osborne, so in the evening, you mentioned around 10 p.m. Did you and Miss Osborne have an interaction?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and was that right around 10 p.m.?
I'm not sure the exact time. Like I said, I was in my barn. I know that she came busting into the door and was telling me all that was going on in the household with my two daughters. And I said, I've already been called and told what was happening. And she just started crazy, going off and carrying on. Basically, everything that's stated into this petition, it's kind of like a confession of what she actually did to me. Everything that she said that I did was actually what she did to me.
And so your interaction with Miss Osborne, was that in the house, outside, or in your pole barn?
It was in the pole barn.
Okay, and am I correct in understanding that you said you were in the pole barn first?
Yeah, I was there by myself, minding my own business, and Mrs. Osborne never comes down to the pole barn unless she wants money or something that she needs. So she never comes down there for any reason.
Okay, and on this night, Miss Osborne came to the pole barn, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so when she arrived at the pole barn, what happened?
She came through the door and started carrying on about how her two daughters are doing this and that and this and that. I said, I've already been abreast of that. I said, you know what? I'm not here to fight. Would you please just leave? I don't want to fight with you. Would you please leave? And I asked her to leave at least 10 times when all this happened. So she became frustrated and picked up one of my microphone stands and threw it on my drum set. Very expensive equipment. I said, can you leave, please? I asked her again, would you please leave? Leave. I don't want to fight. I went to pick up my mic stand. She grabbed another mic stand. I grabbed the mic stand. So you're not going to throw this. And then I pulled it out of her hands and she fell to the ground just like a cartoon. So I went and picked up my other mic stands and set them back up. And she continued to go on and yell and belittle me and tell me all these names that she always calls me. I asked her to leave again and again. She started walking towards the door and she got towards the door right outside of it. I went to the door. I went to pull the door behind me and she turned around and grabbed two handfuls of my hair and said, no, at the top of her lungs and fell to the ground just like she did the first time. Where was I going? Right to the ground because she had two handfuls of my hair. She would not let go of my hair. So I put my knee, I don't know where it was at because it was dark out, to pull my hair out of it. I went back in to lock my barn because I knew that what she came out here for was to do exactly what she's done today, to set up some kind of PPO or whatever she's doing to get me out of the house. It was very obvious because she came down there with no witnesses. So from that point, she laid on the ground and said her back was broken and threw rocks and stones at my barn and hit the door handle and everything else she could and yelled at the top of her lungs to get the attention of whoever to call the police and call the ambulance.
Okay. What did you do while she was on the ground?
I locked my barn. I could not find the keys, so I walked back into my barn. As I walked out, it was dark out. I accidentally stepped on her foot, and then she proceeded to kick me like 5 times while calling me all kinds of profanities. I walked back in. I walked out to my truck, grabbed my keys, came back to the barn, saw the phone on the floor, picked the phone up, stick up my pocket, locked the door, and I walked out. And I walked up to the house because I knew that this is all just an act to achieve whatever she was trying to achieve.
Miss Osborne indicates that you screamed and spit in her face. Did that happen?
No, as I said earlier, most of this statement is just is everything that she said that I did to her is exactly what she did to me. verbatim.
Did you chest bump Miss Osborne?
Did not. Nope, I did not do that. I was trying to get her out of my barn because I have a lot of expensive things in there, and she was trying to destroy them because she was in a rage for whatever reason it was. She had just came from the house yelling at both my daughters and told my daughters, "I'm going down to this pole barn, get to go out with your dad," or whatever she said. I wasn't there. So I'm sorry, Your Honor. I didn't mean to quote somebody else, but that's what was told to me. So she came down there in the rage, and that's what happened.
Did you scream at her and say, "Now nobody will want you, you fat fucking cunt, stupid bitch"?
No, these are words that Mrs. Tiffany Osborne comes up with on her own. She seems to have a vocabulary and ways of putting things so they sound vulgar and disgusting, and then seems to want to put them in my mouth as though I said them, which is totally not true.
Did the police arrive after that happened?
They did. When the police arrived, when EMT arrived, I had gone to the house because I knew that this was all an act. I watched her fall on the ground. I watched her grab my hair and fall to the ground, literally on these rocks. And I heard all of what she was saying. So when EMT arrived, I went to the house because I wouldn't be any use out there. And I didn't want to hear any more of the nasty language that I was being called and the way I was being treated.
Did you speak with the police officer at that time?
I spoke with the two officers that night. I was in the house with my two daughters, and they came to the door and asked me what was happening. I said, well, let's start at the beginning. And I had them talk to Paisley and have Paisley tell them what had happened. I had them talk to Peyton and had Peyton tell them what had happened. And then I gave them my story as to what had happened. And the officers told me that the EMT had.
Objection.
Just
Here's-
saying,
Sorry about that. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Mr. Osborne, were you arrested that night?
No, ma'am, I was not.
Do you know if Miss Osborne was taken to the hospital by the EMTs?
I believe that she was taken to the hospital on her request, not because she sustained any injuries.
How long, Mr. Osborne, how long was Miss Osborne gone from the house?
Oddly enough, she was only gone for 2 hours. So with the broken back and all that she had, I was surprised at myself that she was only gone for 2 hours and released because we received a phone call and my oldest daughter had to go pick her up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And all of this allegedly occurred, or at least this incident occurred on January 30th. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you served with the personal protection order?
February 19th at around 11 o'clock.
And how were you served?
I was served by a state police officer. I was going out to my barn to get a charger for my phone, and I was in some long johns and Crocs, and I had on just a shirt. When I walked out there, I was locked out of my house, and I had to figure out what was going on. And then the state police pulled in and served me the PPO.
So between January 30th and February 19th, how did Miss Osborne appear at home?
Absolutely fine. Matter of fact, the night that she got the PPO on the 16th, we actually spent the night watching movies together on our couch in our house. And we did the same thing again on Saturday night. So I was totally oblivious to that she had even pulled this personal protection order. So this is the second time that she's pulled one. The first time I had it on me for 6 months and never even knew it. Had to leave my house until she dropped the PPO for the first time.
When the police officers came, did you willingly leave or did they have to force you?
No, I willingly left.
And
I went in there and asked if I could.
just to clarify, I'm talking about on the 19th when you were served.
Yes, ma'am. Nope. I willingly left. I went in and put on a pair of pants, and a shirt. And I asked, for my business computer because I was sitting there getting ready for my day's worth of work and trying to get going on it. And the only thing that I could leave with was what I had. I asked Tiffany if I could have my computer, and she looked at me and said, "No, that's my family computer," knowing very well that this was my business computer. So she's done nothing to try to help anything with the situation as far as my business, but yet she wants all of our bills to be paid. I'm still out 60 days now, and I have nowhere to leave. I'm displaced. I have nowhere to go. I can't run a company. I have all these bills that are forced upon me to pay, and I have no way to pay them because I got a trailer full of tools and I'm a general contractor. I can't go to a job and pull out all my tools and put them all back in. There's just no way for me
Your
to
Honor,
sustain
objection
a
as
living.
to relevance at this point.
Yeah. We can move on, Ms. Bailey Hobbs.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Osborne, let's talk about the second allegation that was in Miss Osborne's petition. That allegation indicates that on January 26th of 2024 at your house, that you threw a glass of pop in her face that got all over the walls, the blinds, windows, and you were very drunk and said, "Oh, great, while you're off in your career, I'll just be a broke down old man." And that she wiped herself off and stayed with her daughters in Grand Rapids so you could cool off. Do you recall the date of January 26th?
I don't recall. It seems to me as though we have many different situations that's all being blended into one, and it just seems like a delusion, but I do not remember doing anything. I remember the night that she told me that she got accepted into the nursing program. I remember that very vividly going into the living room, and I remember speaking with Peyton, and I remember speaking with her and how excited she was. And I was excited for her because one of our problems has been that she refuses to work. And I was excited that she was going to finally found something that maybe she could get a job and be a productive member of society. But I don't remember any other thing. I remember talking with Peyton, and I remember talking with Tiffany about all the unlimited opportunities that she had available because my daughter Peyton is involved in the nursing program. And I remember just having joy. I don't remember any of the negativity that she has put down.
Do you recall throwing pop in her face?
No, nope. I do not recall throwing pop in her face.
Okay, let's move to the third incident that was written out by Miss Osborne. Mr. Osborne, this is a seemingly a narrative from Miss Osborne, so I'm just going to point out a few of these things and have you testify about them. Miss Osborne indicates that since 2017 that you began using meth. Have you been using meth?
No, ma'am, I have not been using meth. I use Adderall that I've been prescribed. So this whole meth thing has it all came from her brother that was addicted to it, and I was trying to be a brother-in-law and help him through this time. So I have found that, when people in your family need help, you don't just shut the door on them and kick them out of your house. I wanted to help him out, and I did help him out, and now he's clean and he's doing well for himself.
Do you use any drugs other than your prescribed Adderall? Mr. Osborne, did you hear my question?
I
Your
use
Honor,
I
okay.
have marijuana that I use. Yes, I use marijuana. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now. How about any illegal drugs?
No, I use no illegal drugs other than what I've just told you, where there's a prescribed Adderall, and I used marijuana, and that is all that I use.
Do you know if Miss Osborne has used drugs?
I'm sure she has. She is so secretive about her life and what she does that I really don't know who she is. So I would have to
Objection, Your
say
Honor. Calls
yes
for
on that.
speculation.
Sustained.
Mr. Osborne, have you seen Miss Osborne use any drugs?
Yes, I have.
And what's that?
Um, I've been with this woman for 38 years of my life. So throughout this time, I've seen her use many different kinds.
Miss Osborne indicates that she can remember one time when Shane became angry and he threw glass drinkware at me. That mason jar hit the floor and exploded. I end up cutting the bottom of my foot. Did that happen to your recollection?
Okay, he's reconnecting. We lost him for a moment there.
I'm sorry. I got a bad connection. I don't have anywhere to, this is the only thing that I have available. I apologize to the court.
Go ahead, Miss Bailey Hobbs.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Osborne, did you hear my question regarding the glass drinkware and Miss Osborne's allegation that you threw it at her and she cut her foot?
I did hear that. And here we go again. This is just a delusional state of mind where it seems as though she can make up anything in her head, and whatever she says, it's real. That's her reality. No, I do remember dropping a mason jar on the floor and her helping me clean it up. And I told her, thank you. As far as all of her allegations and what she seems to think up in her head and believe to be true, I'm not sure what to say about this, because this seems to be the theme of our marriage over the last 7 years.
Mr. Osborne, is it your testimony that you did not throw the glass at her and that you just dropped it?
I did not throw any glass at her, and I did drop that on the floor, and it did bust. I'm sorry that she cut her foot. I didn't realize she cut her foot. She never said anything about that until she put it into the PPO.
Mr. Osborne, Miss Osborne also states that another time Shane grabbed me by my throat while I was driving my car down an open roadway. I started struggling to breathe. I put the car in reverse, tried to pull into a neighbor's yard. And that once she did that, you let go of her neck. Did you grab her by her throat while she was driving?
Once again, these are all just statements that she can think up in her mind, and once she throws them out there, she believes this to be true. So no, I did not do any of that. Don't recollect any of what she's even talking about.
Miss Osborne indicates that Shane has thrown bags of deer blood at me, and a couple of those bags hit her. She couldn't get out of the way. Did that happen?
No, that did not happen when I was around. I'm not sure. Like I said, delusional state of mind. She's just basically stating this parte PPO to gain a upper hand on this divorce, that she should have just came to me and said, I'm leaving. I wanted a divorce, and we could have handled all this differently. But by doing this, she's gotten the upper hand because she's gotten full custody of my daughter in 2 days. She's gotten exclusive rights to my house in 2 days. She's kicked me out of my house where I have a place of business where I work. I have no means to work at all. She's 60 days now. I haven't worked. Been a great time. I'm not sure. To answer your question, no.
Mr. Osborne, you need to make sure that you're answering my question, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Ms. Osborne states that in the last 6 months since 2017, your behavior has become violent. Are you violent with her?
Nope, I'm not violent with her other than when she walks around and belittles me and calls me names and tries to provoke me into these moments where I get so mad that I vent back, because when you poke somebody long enough, it's going to happen. So have I become violent? No. Have I been provoked? Yes. And it's amazing that she seems to record everything from a one-sided point of view, and that's of me being mad, but you never see her starting it and where it started from.
Mr. Osborne, when you say provoked, do you physically hurt her?
No, I have never ever touched Tiffany Osborne. Never punched her, never smacked her, never slammed her down like she says. I got two rotator cuffs that have been broken. There's no way that I could pick up a 225-pound woman and slam her.
And I just want to clarify what you mean by provoked. Are you talking verbal argument with your wife, or are you talking that you verbally assault her because you're mad?
I'm talking about someone that's walking around calling me a meth head, alcoholic, terrible husband, terrible father, terrible person, terrible this, terrible that, and just all kinds of belittling and name calling, the same things that she is making the accusations that I do at her. Listening to her and reading the things that she put down, I feel like I'm reading a confession, because these are the things that she actually does to me.
Objection, Your Honor. That was non-responsive to Ms. Bailey.
Okay. Go ahead, Miss Bailey Hobbs. Let's try to focus this and
Thank you,
conclude.
Your Honor. Yep, we're almost done. Mr. Osborne, you did not answer the question. I need you to listen to the question and make sure you answer it. I want to know what you mean by she provokes you. And I specifically, what I'm asking is, what are your actions when you say that Miss Osborne provokes you?
She calls me a meth head, an alcoholic, a jobless bum, a terrible dad, a terrible husband, and belittling and name calling.
Mr.
Did that
Osborne,
answer your question? That's
no.
provoking to me.
No,
Okay.
I'm
I'm not sure
asking
then.
how you respond to Miss Osborne
I
when she does that.
Well, I just ask her mainly, just stop. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight with you. Stop calling me these names. Stop, stop, stop. But it does not happen. So that is my answer and where I at. If I go to a certain level, I start calling names back, and there's where it escalates to. No physical.
All right. And there's allegations that you let the air out of her tires. Did that happen?
No, actually, I put air into her tires and I fixed her license plate.
Did you take the license plate off her car on February 15th or 16th?
No, I actually put her license plate on her car.
Have you told Miss Osborne that you were going to feed her to the pigs?
No, that's just that's kind of a joke amongst my friends and everyone around my house, except for, Tiffany, because she wants to take it literally. But no, that's just a joke. That's all that's ever been, all it'll ever be.
Mr. Osborne, how is telling somebody you're going to feed them to the pigs a joke? Can you explain that to me?
Well, yeah, I can, because when I'm around my friends, we always talk about feeding you the pigs, because we live in a farming community. So it's so you have different jokes with different people. It's not a literal term of feeding anyone to the pigs. It's something that I picked up when I was working in Virginia, working with a pig farmer.
Do you make that joke to anyone other than your wife?
As of lately, no, but 5 years ago, yeah, I used to make it amongst all my friends, amongst all kinds of people that I ran around with, and they made the same response back.
Mr. Osborne, Miss Osborne alleges that you poked her in her eye with your finger one time. Do you recall poking her in her eye?
What I recall is Mrs. Osborne was going into another one of her mood swings, probably from having too many cocktails mixed with her prescriptions. So I grabbed my pillows from our bedroom and I had 3 pillows in my hand. I went to close the door. I didn't realize that Mrs. Osborne's face was going to be right in the door. I reached behind me to shut the door and I accidentally poked her in her eye. This was nothing that was intentional. And so once that happened, she committed to smacking me and punching me in my head countless times where my face was actually swollen up.
Mr. Osborne, Miss Osborne indicates that you brag that you know how to kill someone and get away with it, and that he recently said he was going to fake his own death, that he was going to get all of his teeth pulled and have one of his arms cut off, and he would leave that arm in a vehicle that was involved in an accident. He would get plastic surgery so we would not recognize him. Have you said those things?
No, it goes back to this delusional state of mind, I guess, because I don't walk around bragging that I can kill people. That's as stupid as it sounds. I'm sorry. My daughter and I, Peyton, were watching a movie.
Okay, Mr. Osborne, you don't need to go on. You answered the question.
Just to finish up, Mr. Osborne, do you know how many times the police have been called to your house in the last 10 years?
Yeah, they've been called on me 18 times and I have never been arrested. And at this point, I really fear for my safety, for my freedom, because she just makes these reports out of whatever she decides to make them out of. And I'm always the abuser. So I'm concerned that the 19th time I'm going to get arrested. And that's exactly what she's trying to achieve.
What are you asking this court to do?
I'm asking this court to please terminate this PPO because it's based upon false allegations. It's crippled me. I have no way to work. I have done none of this stuff. Mrs. Christian or Osborne has said that she has nowhere to go. She can go stay at her parents. I have nowhere to go. I'm a displaced person who's out here being a hobo in the real world with nowhere to go. I can't work. I can't do anything. I'm asking them to please terminate this PPO and let me get my life back together so I can take care of my family.
Oh, really quick, there was a motion for show cause filed by Miss Osborne where she indicates in February that you were on speakerphone and told your adult daughter to essentially beat her up. Do you recall that date, and what is your response to that?
I recall the date very vividly. Not sure, once again, she just makes up whatever she wants. I remember my daughter going in to pick up her graduation money. I was on speakerphone to tell her where the keys were to the file cabinet. She went in and unlocked it. Her mom came in and accosted her and accused her of stealing money that was mine, which was actually hers. I heard the phone rattling and drop, and I said, "Stand your ground, stand your ground." And that's what I said.
Was the goal for you to have your adult daughter Peyton physically assault your wife?
No, my intent was because my daughter Peyton was being attacked from what I heard on the phone. So my intention was for her to defend herself and not be beat up by her mother like it's happened before.
I have no further questions at this time.
Okay. Ms. Wickham, any cross?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Osborne, you have indicated that the majority, if not all of these allegations are things that Miss Osborne has done to you or they're completely made up, correct?
Yep.
No sort of truth in any of them, correct?
Well, I'm sure there's a little bit of truth in some of it, but I can't read through it all and I haven't read through it all. But for the most part, it's all blasphemy.
You haven't had a chance to read through all of the allegations?
I have read through them several times, probably like 20 times, but what's popping out in my head right now, no, doesn't stand out.
Okay. And the poking the eye with your finger, that was completely an accident?
Completely 100%.
The incident where Miss Osborne fell down in the pool building, I believe that was on January 30th of 2024, completely an accident?
No, that was not an accident at all. That had nothing to do with me. When I grabbed the mic stand, she fell to the ground. I had both my hands on a mic stand, pulling it out of her hands so she didn't throw it at my drum set again. When I grabbed it and pulled it out of her hands, just like a cartoon, she fell right to the ground.
You wouldn't describe that as an accident?
I don't know how it would be an accident on my part, but she falls to the ground. I don't how would that be an accident on my part?
Okay. So that wasn't an accident. It was just her falling to the ground.
Absolutely 100% true.
Okay. And when your attorney asked you about the January 26th of 2024 incident about I guess the educational opportunity Miss Osborne had, do you recall that?
Very vividly.
Very vividly. And you remember a lot
Yes.
of these incidents very vividly, correct?
I try to, yes. Yep.
Okay. The statement that you made, you were excited for her to be a productive member of society. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your main concern with this personal protection order is that you haven't been able to access your home, correct?
No, my main concern with this PPO order is I have a business that I've ran for 38 years, and I do not have any access to any of my shop and my pole barn. I cannot make a living and pay all of these things that I'm being asked to pay. So my main thing is I don't have access to anything. So my home and my shop are all in one. So it's all that I've just been kind of displaced out of my home.
Okay. And with regards to the provocation, your attorney had spent some questioning and time trying to get you to answer what provocation means. When Miss Osborne is provoking you, I believe your response is you respond just by saying you don't want to fight, or sometimes you'll start calling her names, correct?
Well, yeah, that's kind of how arguments work. They kind of progress when somebody starts calling your names back, and then you call names back, and you call names back. That's kind of just how they work.
But you've never physically touched her, correct?
I have never, ever physically touched Tiffany Osborne. I've never hit her, never smacked her, never lifted a hand to her.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Bailey Hobbs?
Just really brief, Your Honor. Mr. Osborne, when you were just describing your main concern regarding the personal protection order, what concerns do you have regarding how Miss Osborne will use this personal protection order?
Well, basically, my house and all of my things are on display for her dad and her dad's friends and her boyfriends or whoever's coming over to her house, and all my stuff is missing and coming up missing, and my safe's been smashed, and all these things are going on. And oddly enough, none of it has to do with any of her stuff but my own. So I feel like I'm being taken advantage of by her using this PPO to go through all my stuff and personally just go through it and get rid of whatever she wants and take it and hide it. It's an abuse of a PPO because I have no rights and I've done nothing wrong to deserve this. And she's holding me like ransom. She's holding my stuff ransom. She says she wants nothing but a check, but yet why is she holding all my stuff? Why doesn't she just go to her mom's or her dad's? Because
Mr.
she wants
Osborne,
control.
Mr. Osborne,
Yes,
do
ma'am.
you have concerns that Miss Osborne will file false police reports?
I know for a fact that she does file false police reports. There's 18 of them to prove it. I've never been arrested for anything because I haven't done anything wrong.
Is there a concern that she will use this personal protection order to continue filing those?
I'm concerned about my freedom, because as long as she has the ability to go out and file these false allegations all over the place and everyone believes her, then yeah, eventually I'm going to lose my freedom, because she's going to get away with it eventually if no one stops her from filing all these false police reports, because they are just that, false police reports.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Sir, you mentioned that you have your business and your tools and that in a pole barn. How far on the property, how far is the pole barn from the house?
It is on the, I have 2 acres, Your Honor, and it is on the furthest corner of the property. So it's a little bit of a distance. It's probably 300 feet, 200, not that much, probably 150 feet. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
But everything is separate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Bailey Hobbs, any additional witnesses?
Your Honor, I should have 2 witnesses in the Zoom room. If we could take the Trooper Bilecki.
I only have a Caitlin Bilecki in the
Yep.
way.
Okay, that's the one that I would like to call.
Okay.
Click on the mic in the lower left corner.
Yeah, I've got it now. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Bilecki, we're going to take some testimony from you. So if you would raise your right hand, we'll have you sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Ma'am, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Bailey Hobbs.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Bilecki, where do you work?
The Michigan State Police.
How long have you worked there?
5 years and 7 months.
What is your position with the Michigan State Police?
I'm a trooper.
What are your responsibilities in that position?
Primarily to investigate crimes and respond to calls for service.
How long have you been in the position of trooper?
5 years.
Have you investigated any police reports made by the petitioner Tiffany Osborne?
I have.
What did you investigate?
Report of a breaking and entering and a PPO violation.
Your Honor, with regards to the PPO violation, I have no objection to that, but I wonder what the other incident has to do with the burden of proof that is for today, of whether or not there's reason for Ms. Osborne to fear Mr. Osborne such that a PPO should be in place.
Okay. Ms. Bailey Hobbs, how is a breaking and entering germane to this matter?
Thank you, Your Honor. The 2 are connected because they both involve allegations regarding Mr. Osborne. They are specifically germane to the issue that Ms. Osborne will continue to try to use this personal protection order to make false allegations against Mr. Osborne.
Well, I'll give you a little leeway, but let's tie it up. I don't know when the B&E was, but if it was like 10 years ago, I guess the court's not real interested in that.
It would these claims that's my next question, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Miss Trooper Bilecki, when do you know when this police report was made?
Yes, they're both encompassing the same offense. The breaking and entering as part of a PPO violation allegation. It was on March 14th of this year.
Again, Your Honor, this doesn't go to any of the incidents in the personal protection order. I'm going to continue my objection as to relevance of Trooper Bilecki's testimony.
Yeah, go to relevance of the, again, the show cause that you file, as well as any credibility issues. So the court's going to take the testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Bilecki, when did you start investigating this report?
March 14th, the date it was reported to dispatch. I was dispatched the incident.
During the course of the investigation, what have you found?
I found several pieces of evidence and testimony to directly dispute the PPO violation as well as the breaking and entering.
I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up just a little bit. Can you identify the exact allegations that were made by Miss Osborne?
Yes, the allegation was that just prior to calling dispatch that night, Mr. Shane Osborne had broken into the residence.
Were there any allegations regarding what was taken?
No.
And during the course of the investigation, am I correct in understanding that you found facts to indicate that Mr. Osborne did not break into the residence on that date?
Correct.
Have there been any other incidental findings during that investigation?
Several, but in regards to a PPO violation, there was another allegation made on a separate date, less than a month prior, and I also found evidence to dispute that as well.
What do you recall what that allegation was?
Yes, an allegation that one of their daughters went to the home to gather things, and Shane was on the phone with the daughter, and the allegation was to that he stated, quote, beat that bitch down, unquote, in regards to physically assaulting Tiffany.
And what did your investigation uncover regarding that?
Two eyewitnesses that disputed that allegation.
During your investigation, has Miss Osborne been cooperative?
She has.
Has Mr. Osborne been cooperative?
He has.
Is that investigation complete yet?
No, it's still ongoing.
During your investigation, have you found any other facts to indicate that Mr. Osborne has violated the personal protection order that is in place right now?
I have not found any evidence or testimony to substantiate that Mr. Osborne has made any violations to the PPO.
During the course of your investigation, have you looked up how many incidents and contact reports have been reported by Miss Osborne?
I have.
And those were reported against Mr. Osborne?
Several of them, yes.
Do you recall how many reports were made by Miss Osborne against Mr. Osborne?
I believe there were more than 15, but less than 20.
During the course of your investigation, have you found any facts to indicate that Mr. Osborne has ever been prosecuted on anything?
He has not.
Is there anything else regarding personal protection violations with your involvement with this case that you'd like the court to know?
No, ma'am.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Wickham, any cross-examination?
Yes, thank you. Trooper Bilecki, with regards to the breaking and entering the 3/14 of 24 incident, you were asked extremely general questions, and you said that you found evidence to dispute the allegations, but we didn't hear what evidence that is. And so could you please tell the court what that is?
Sure. There was eyewitness to that night of their juvenile daughter who stated she was the one that took the door and removed it from the screws. Also, Miss Osborne had stated that her slider door was open in her bedroom, and the juvenile stated she also opened that to let her dog out on the balcony. It is on the second story. Miss Osborne stated that she believed Mr. Osborne had used a ladder to enter that second story bedroom. However, there was no ladder that was observed in the area, and there was no markings on the side of the home that would indicate a ladder had rubbed up against it. And there was Your standard dirt on the siding is white, so it would have been fairly obvious. The time frame in which Miss Osborne and her juvenile daughter were outside of the residence was approximately 30 minutes, which is a small amount of time. A neighbor has cameras which capture vehicles that drive down the roadway, and that witness indicated to me that the only activity on his cameras was wildlife that night. Mr. Osborne has a solid alibi with 3 witnesses, in which I have confirmed that through the duration of that 30 minutes and then some, as well as the fact that there's only truly one thing that was disturbed in the home, and that was concealed with so many items in front of it that had been essentially hiding those items that were disturbed, that it would have been reasonably impossible for someone to have broken into the home, gained access to those items, concealed those items, and then been out of the home and out of the area within 30 minutes.
Well, that was a lot, Trooper Bilecki. So the information that you gathered, you're making conclusions based off of that, I guess, that investigation and what you found.
This is still an ongoing investigation. My job is to find the facts and the facts only.
Okay. It's my understanding that generally when you're looking at a criminal investigation, that it's a jury's job to determine facts. Would you agree with that?
No, I collect facts and I collect evidence.
Oh, okay. So your facts are telling you that the juvenile daughter admitted to doing some things prior to leaving the home.
That is a testimony, yes.
Okay. And with regards to what Ms. Osborne told you, she told you what she believed happened, but couldn't necessarily prove whether or not it did, correct?
She made an accusation.
Okay. All right. As most people do when they're filing a police report?
Correct.
Okay. With regards to the other allegation where one of the daughters went to the home, and I think you quoted the part about beat that bitch down, you said you had 2 eyewitnesses to dispute that incident. Who are those eyewitnesses?
Both of their daughters.
Okay, so the daughters of the parties?
Correct.
Okay. One of them is a juvenile?
Correct.
These incidents that you had indicated, more than 15 but less than 20 incidents, do you know over what time frame that occurred?
Not exactly, but within the last 5 years.
So you don't know exactly, but you feel confident to say that it's within 5 years?
Yes, the call history started about 2020.
And are you able to look at all reporting jurisdictions, not just the Michigan State Police?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay. Bailey Hobbs, anything else?
I have no redirect, Your Honor.
Trooper Bilecki, thank you for your testimony. You're free to go. Have a good day.
Thank you, you as well.
Bailey Hobbs, any additional witnesses?
I've subpoenaed one more. It should be in the waiting room, but if not, then I guess I'm gonna have to say that I don't.
No, we don't have any other witnesses in the waiting room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nope. We'll rest.
Okay. Ms. Wickham, do you have any witnesses that you'd like to present or evidence?
I do. Miss Osborne.
Okay. Ms. Osborne, we'll have you raise your right hand, be sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Ma'am, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely do. Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Wickham.
Yes, thank you. And Your Honor, may I ask, I had emailed the exhibits email with 3 pictures prior to the hearing. Were those received by the court?
Yes, we received those. I would tell you they're not in color when they print out, so I see some things, but I don't know.
My apologies. I certainly was prepared to use the share screen function so that the court could see them in color.
Okay, if you wish to do so, you can go ahead.
Thank you. I'll do that at the appropriate time. Ms. Osborne, with regards to this personal protection order, I I don't want to rehash necessarily every single incident, but do you stand by the statements that you made in the verified statement attached to the PPO petition?
Absolutely.
And then let's talk about the January 30th of 2024 incident. You've heard Mr. Osborne's testimony. Do you disagree with that?
Absolutely. Yes.
And in fact, that night, were you injured or sustained some sort of injuries?
Definitely to my back. The first time in the pole barn, second time outside the pole barn, 2 blows to the ground.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I'd ask permission to use the share screen function
go ahead.
to publish Exhibit 1. With regards to this picture, going to blow that up for the court. Ms. Osborne, what does this show?
I had a white puffer coat on that night. It shows when I was thrown for the second time outside on the rocks outside the pole barn. Those are the marks through the coat from the rocks, the impact on the rocks.
So part of the incident took place in the pole barn, but then the other part was outside.
Correct.
Did you, in fact, go to the pole barn to confront Mr. Osborne about something?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Your Honor, I was going to stop share screen. Were you able to see that Exhibit 1?
Yeah, yep.
I'd ask that that be admitted. Thank you.
Bailey Hobbs, any response?
Your Honor, the only objection that I have is that I received them at the same time the court has, so I have not had a proper chance to review them or discuss them with my client.
Okay, well, court will admit, I guess we'll admit that as defendant's Exhibit A. I'm sorry, petitioner's Exhibit 1.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. So, Ms. Osborne, with regards to, I guess, this confrontation that you had with Mr. Osborne, do you differ in how that went down?
Completely, yes.
Okay. Were you having some sort of issue with regards to parenting your children and the things that Mr. Osborne was teaching them to say?
Absolutely. It was profanity that I had a problem with that was being used in the home that is unacceptable to me.
Okay.
For my children to use.
So you went out there to talk to him about that and you were angry, but you weren't, I guess, as heated as he describes you.
No, I was going down to speak to him. Yes, I was angry, but it was just to be a discussion about our child.
Okay, thank you.
That we've had before.
All right. Your Honor, may I publish number 2?
Yes.
Thank you. And Ms. Osborne, with regards to this picture, was that taken after that incident on January 30th of 2024?
Correct.
All right. And with regards to this picture, that's you, obviously, correct?
Yes.
And what is this marking on your forehead?
That's a bruise.
Okay. So right there in the middle of your forehead?
Correct.
Do you know how that was sustained?
In the pole barn, when he first came up and started spitting in my face, he kind of head-butted me at the same time when he chest bumped me.
Okay, so the chest bump included a headbutt?
Yes.
Okay. And that was the mark.
Yes, contact. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. I'd ask that this be admitted as petitioner's number 2.
Okay. Ms. Bailey Hobbs, any response?
Your Honor, I'll only renew my objection regarding timeliness of notice of the exhibit.
Okay. Court will admit petitioner's Exhibit 2.
Thank you. And Ms. Osborne, with regards to the provocation, did you ever give Mr. Osborne any reason to be provoked?
No, not that I feel he should have been. Using language like that is very unacceptable. And so when I tried having a discussion with him, what language he thinks is acceptable for the children to use, that's when he started coming towards me, escalated and started screaming and spitting in my face nose to nose.
Okay. Were you at the hospital longer than 2 hours that night?
Yes, I believe it was about 5 in the morning when my daughter could come get me.
Okay. And I believe during that incident, he made a comment about being able to take his work computer. Do you recall him stating that?
That he wanted to take his work computer? Correct. Yes.
Okay. And did you hear him say in a specific mocking tone, no, that's my personal computer, kind of mocking you and what you said?
Yes.
Was that a frequent occurrence for Mr. Osborne to use that kind of tone when he would speak with you?
Oh, yes.
Okay, and so that's a very good example that he gave the court today of how he would normally talk to you when he was mocking you?
He does much worse, but yes.
Okay.
Correct.
When he was asked about the incident on January 26th of 2024, he stated he does not recall throwing pop in your face. Do you have any reason to believe why he wouldn't have recalled that?
I believe he does, but I am not him. Maybe drunk. I'm really not sure, but I believe it was
Objection, call for
anger.
speculation.
I'll ask it a different way.
Sustained.
Yep. Miss Osborne, on the night of January 26th of 2024, was Mr. Osborne intoxicated?
Absolutely.
Okay, and how could you tell?
By his language, his voice slurring, anger.
Okay, and this is something you've seen from him and signs you've seen from him over many years?
Many. Yes.
When he had indicated that he's seen you use many different kinds of drugs, but then didn't necessarily list any drugs, ma'am, let's just ask, do you use any drugs?
My prescription medications, yes.
Okay. And I believe in their the attachment to the motion to terminate, they had indicated that you abuse your prescription drugs. Do you abuse those?
No, I do not.
And you take Ambien, or you had taken Ambien, but you discontinued that, correct?
Correct.
And instead you decided to take an over-the-counter medication, ZQuil, correct?
ZQuil, correct. Mm-hmm.
And then you have a valid prescription for the past 15 years for Xanax, correct?
Correct.
You also suffer from a number of medical issues, specifically relating to your back and pain. You do have a valid prescription for the past 17 years for hydrocodone?
Correct.
And you never abuse those and take them as prescribed, correct?
No, ma'am.
All right. So are you at all sure of what he's referring to when he says he's seen you take many different kinds of drugs?
No, no.
Okay.
Not at all.
When he spoke to you or was talking to you about feeding you to the pigs, how often would he say that?
He has said that on a few different occasions when he's been intoxicated, yes.
Okay.
I would say maybe I've heard it 3 or 4 times.
Okay. And does it ever, in the way that he's delivering, because sometimes the joke is in the delivery, does he ever make it sound like it's a joke?
No, not at all.
Did that make you fear that he would possibly carry out on that?
Yes, it did make me fear that. It made me fear him.
All right. And you've never taken it as a joke?
Never. No.
And with regards to why you filed for this personal protection order, there's been a lot made of the number of incidents that have been filed over the years. Do you agree with between 15 and 20 police reports that may have been filed?
Perhaps, yes, there has been quite a few, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I believe Mr. Osborne's testimony was over the past 10 years. Would you agree that that would be also over a 10-year span?
I think it's much shorter than that. I think that it's been, the police calls have been over the last 5 years, maybe.
Okay. And in your petition for the PPO, you indicated that Mr. Osborne's been suffering from a meth addiction for the past 5 years, correct?
Yes, he has, with my brother.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Are you using this personal protection order to get any sort of advantage in the pending divorce matter?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Are you genuinely concerned for your safety?
Absolutely. I fear every door has to be locked. Everything has to have a stick in the window. If anything's taken out, if I find any door ajar, any window ajar, I call the police. I'm terrified. And I'm protecting my children, which I have both at home with me now.
Mhm. With regards to the incident where he poked you in the eye, did you hear Mr. Osborne's explanation for why he poked you in the eye?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, may I share screen again?
Yes.
All right, ma'am, with regards to this picture, is this in fact a picture of half of your face?
Yes, it is.
And this relates to that incident that you put on the verified statement with regards to him poking you in your eye?
Correct.
And that eye, as far as, can you please describe what's going on with your eye in this picture?
With the eye, he got up in my face and poked his index finger as he's screaming at me over the balcony, poked it right in my eye. So what you're seeing is a lot of skin, and my eye was severely irritated.
Okay.
I had a hard time seeing for a while. Took a while to cover. I had to use an eye patch for a while.
All right. Your Honor, at this time, I would ask this be admitted as petitioner's number 3.
Okay, Ms. Bailey Hobbs.
Your Honor, I'll just renew my objection regarding notice of the exhibit.
Okay, court will admit petitioner's exhibit 3.
Okay, thank you. And ma'am, with regards to this, I guess this little fold that we have right here, that's not something that you would or had prior to Mr. Osborne putting his finger in your eye?
No, that's stretched skin.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
my,
That's your what? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, that's my eyelid
Okay.
stretched out.
Okay. You heard Trooper Bilecki testify about a number of things. The breaking and entering, it was your belief that someone had gotten into the home?
I was hoping not, but when Paisley and I got home after a short amount of time, I found the door that had been screwed to go down to the basement. It was screwed shut. I found that ajar, and I also found my sliding glass door open, wide open, up in my bedroom. So it made me fear instantly.
Okay.
So that's why I called the police.
Okay. And then the other allegation with regards to what you filed the show cause for about being on the speakerphone. Do you stand by your statement that he, while on speakerphone, was telling your oldest daughter to quote unquote beat that bitch down?
Absolutely. It was beat that bitch down, punch that fucking bitch.
Okay.
Get the money and run, Peyton.
All right. If this personal protection order were to be terminated, would you fear Mr. Osborne taking any sort of retribution?
Yes. I fear for the lives of my children and myself.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. Bailey Hobbs.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Osborne, with regard to petitioner's exhibit 2, where you said that there was a bruise on your forehead, when was that photo taken?
That was in the incident when Shane was in my face in the barn, in the pole barn.
It was taken while Shane was in your face in the barn, in the pole barn?
No, my mom took that the next day.
Okay, so the next day.
Correct.
Around what time?
I do not remember the time. Afternoon, I would say.
Okay, and it's your testimony that your mother took it?
Yes.
Did the EMTs or the police officers take any photos?
Not that I'm aware of, no. It was so dark out, I don't think so.
How about that first photo, petitioner's exhibit 1, regarding something on your back? When was that taken?
That was taken the next day by my mom as well.
And do you recall EMT or police officers taking a photo of your back?
No, I was covered in clothing and I had a coat on. That was from the impact on the rocks outside from the second time it threw me down. Just moved me.
Regarding the photo in petitioner's exhibit 3 of your face, when was that taken?
Of the eye?
Yes.
By my mom.
When?
The next day. Or yes, the next day. Yes, I had a trooper or an officer the night before take me to my mom's for safety, and she took the picture of the eye the next day.
Miss Osborne, did that occur when you say that Shane poked you in the eye once?
Yes.
And that was included
separate.
in, and that was in, let me finish my question, please. And that was in your allegation number 3 that's titled since 2017?
Yes.
Is it now your testimony that he poked you in the eye during the January 30th incident?
No, that's separate.
So
no.
It's separate, but your mother took a picture of your eye that was poked on the
That
same day
time?
she took.
No, it was not. That I was poked a year before the incident on the rocks. My mom also took pictures of my back when this incident happened in January.
Okay, so I've asked you when the photo was taken. Number 3, the one of your half of your face. When was that photo taken?
Okay. I believe it was April of last year. I'm not positive. The police report would show when the officer took me to my mother's.
For which incident?
For being poked in the eye. He also took me to get gas and he escorted me to my mother's for safety that night.
Okay, hold on. You just stated that when you got home from with your youngest daughter, you saw the screwed door that was ajar and a sliding glass door ajar, so that made you fear instantly that someone had come in the house, right?
Absolutely, yes. Because when we left the home, I don't remember a slider being open. I make sure everything is closed because of what's going on, and that door was screwed shut.
And so then you called the police and made a report that Shane had broken into the house?
No, I did not. I called 911 to tell them that I found two doors ajar, and and then when she showed up, I told her, I don't know. Baisley was telling me that she was the one that went outside.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm sorry.
Hearsay. Miss Osborne, is it your testimony that Trooper Bilecki was wrong when she testified about what the allegations were?
That she was wrong about when she testified what the allegations
About what
were?
the allegations were regarding that breaking and entering?
Well, yes, because I called 911 because there were two doors up and I wanted to make sure somebody was not in the house. It did not necessarily mean Shane. I just was doing it to make sure we were safe.
So you never personally implicated Shane?
Well, I had to tell her that there was a PPO order and I was not sure who it could be.
So what exactly did you tell her?
I don't remember exactly what I told her, just that, well, you know, I'm going through a divorce, PPO order. Those two doors being open really kind of freaked me out. And I thought I should call the police just to make sure everything was safe.
And Miss Trooper Bilecki indicated that you stated that there were some items that were messed with in the home.
The two doors. I called the police because two doors were open. She then made her way through my house.
And then, so it was Trooper Bilecki's testimony, as far as I understood it, that there were some items that were implicated in this breaking and entering, and that she found that they were hidden and obscure, and they would have been difficult to reach within the half an hour.
She called me to come down while she said, "Can I search your home?" I said, yes. She went in the basement and found, well, we have safes that we have hidden with slider, like glass doors. And she looked behind there and found out one of the safes had been broken. And she called me down to look at that.
Okay, so you didn't report that?
No.
Ms. Osborne, you indicated that on January 30th, 2024, you injured your back.
He injured my back, correct?
Isn't it true that you already have back pain and back conditions as well?
Absolutely, yes.
What are those conditions?
I have a double curve of scoliosis that's filled with arthritis. I have stenosis, a slew of things, mainly the arthritis and the double curve of in the spine of scoliosis.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Wickham, anything else?
Just a follow-up, Your Honor. Miss Osborne, when the police would report out to your home, would they ask you whether or not you wanted to press charges?
Yes, they did.
And what was your answer frequently?
It was no. He's my husband. He's the father of my children. And if I do, he'll kill me. He will kill me.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
Okay.
Nothing for me, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Wickham, any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. To closing argument, Ms. Bailey Hobbs.
Your Honor, the testimony today establishes that Miss Osborne has made claims that aren't true. The trooper testified that she has made claims against Mr. Osborne that the trooper has found to be false. There was some discussion regarding mocking Miss Osborne between her and her attorney. But it's important to note that mocking does not create a reasonable fear or apprehension that someone's going to stalk you, injure you, hurt you. Miss Osborne has called the police on Mr. Osborne over 15 times in the last 5 years. He has never been arrested. There's never been anything to move forward on. And even if Miss Osborne had chosen not to press charges, that at times is not her decision to make. And so any findings made by police officers were not, did not translate into charges at the prosecutor's level. She produces bruises on the forehead, a photo of the bruise on the forehead. That bruise looks like, it does not look like it's a very fresh bruise, if it is a bruise at all. Miss Osborne indicates that, she was poked in the eye and has a photo of a swollen eye, but yet was very unsure about the exact date and time and who took the photo. Mr. Osborne testified that he has no interest in hurting Miss Osborne, that he's never physically hurt her, and that he just wants not to have the police called on him and end up in jail for something he does not do, and he would like to find some way to have some access to his building so that he can work. Miss Osborne indicates that Mr. Osborne uses illegal drugs and has an addiction to drinking, yet she produces no evidence to support that. As the court knows, the petitioner has the burden of persuasion to prove that the ex parte personal protection order injunction should still continue. And that's pursuant to Pickering v. Pickering, 253 Mishap 694. Also pursuant to MCR 3.310 subsection B5. It is our position that petitioner has not satisfied her burden of proof to establish that a reasonable person would be fearful or apprehensive that Mr. Osborne would stalk her, assault her, harm any pets that are in her possession, so on and so forth. We are asking this court to terminate the personal protection order, and if the court finds it appropriate, it may be better suited to be an order in the companion case, the family case regarding the divorce, to restrain both parties from approaching each other, calling each other names, doing anything to each other that would be unacceptable to this court. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wickham?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. With regards to the burden, I do believe that we have met our burden that a PPO is appropriate. The court must look at a reasonable person standard, that a reasonable person would fear the respondent. And if the court finds that there is reasonable cause to believe that the respondent has committed or would commit the actions in the initial petition, a PPO will be granted. With regards to the issues here, we do have that he has threatened to kill her. I'm unsure in what world threatening to feed someone to pigs is a joke, and that it was meant in anything other than a threatening manner. If it is or was meant as a joke, I'm unsure that that's the type of thing someone should be joking about. But we also have actual injury. With regards to the exhibits, petitioners number 1 and 2 are with regards to the 1/30/24 incident, where the respondent had pushed her down on the rock so hard that it caused the marks that we see in exhibit number 1. That additionally, that he had headbutted her, where we see a bruise, and perhaps the lighting is not the best in that picture, but I'm unsure that they were looking to preserve it as a potential for something like this that would happen. But it was a picture taken where I can see discoloration on her forehead. Her testimony is that he caused those injuries. With regards to exhibit number 3, again, we have actual injury, something that the personal protection order would prohibit. We have her eye in quite a state. You can see that it is red, it is puffy, that there is kind of an unnatural curvature of the flap of her eyelid, that she indicates that he had actually stretched out her eyelid. So, Your Honor, we do have, again, a threat to injure or kill, feeding her to the pigs, and we have actual physical injury. With regards to the attacks of my client's credibility, Trooper Bilecki, with regards to her evidence that disputes the allegations, it's the daughters of the parties who I think are quite stuck in the middle here. And if Mr. Osborne has an alibi, great. But what we've heard Miss Osborne testify is that she saw doors ajar and open that weren't open before she left. She believed she had everything locked up tight, so she called the police. The issues with the number of police reports that have been filed, but no arrests made. I respect Miss Bailey Hobbs' argument with regards to why charges haven't been filed, but those of us who actually practice criminal law in this county, who do defense work, know that frequently we will show up and we will be told there's no cooperative victim, there's no cooperative witness, we're going to dismiss it. If they want to bring it back, they can absolutely ask us to reissue it. So, Your Honor, if a trooper is going to, or a police officer is going to fill out a report, their question as to whether or not they're going to submit it to the prosecutor's office will usually depend on whether or not there's a cooperative victim or witness. So the fact that we have no one's been arrested, no one's been charged, doesn't mean that these incidents did not occur. And Miss Osborne's testimony is she would frequently tell them that she did not want him arrested, but at the time, you know, she's calling the cops, she's exercising her right, and I don't think that we should necessarily put her down, if you will, for her ability to call the cops to diffuse a situation. And if that's what they did and that's what she was satisfied with, that's what she told them, as the situation is diffused. We've heard some testimony with regards to his main concern, and his main concern is that he's not able to access the home and his pole barn. Little concern that the pole barn is 150 feet from the house. I don't know as though whether or not there was any sort of consideration about allowing him onto the pole barn property to be able to work. I would say that that's a dangerous license to give, given that we've got, again, the threat to kill and injure, and the actual injuries that have occurred. Your Honor, this is exactly why PPOs are here. It is not in any way to get a leg up in a divorce. I'm unsure of any sort of mutual PPO. In fact, I believe the statute specifically prohibits mutual protection orders. And I'm unsure whether or not such a provision could be put in place in the divorce. If there is a concern that Miss Osborne is getting rid of property she shouldn't be, certainly Miss Bailey Hobbs knows the mechanism to file a motion with regards to some sort of mutual restraining order regarding the dissipation of assets. The PPO, a reasonable person would fear the type of conduct that Mr. Osborne has exhibited towards Miss Osborne, and therefore we are asking you to keep this personal protection order in place.
Okay, thank you. Well, in this matter, the court can grant a personal protective order pursuant to MCL 600.2950 if the court determines that there is reasonable cause to believe that an individual has committed or may commit any acts listed under subsection 1A through K. Reasonable cause is shown by facts leading a fair-minded person of average intelligence and judgment to believe that an incident has occurred or will occur. I'm citing People v. Richardson at 204 Mishap 71, 1994 case. In this case, the court has heard far more testimony than we usually get in these particular matters. In these particular cases, especially because oftentimes it's a he said, she said, credibility is always a consideration in every case. Oftentimes, the parties will allege that the other party or one of their witnesses is not truthful or lying. The court has found that inconsistencies in testimony does not mean that an individual has lied. Conflicting testimony can occur as a result of a witness's background, perception, bias, understanding or misunderstanding, or a mistake. When consistencies occur, the court will attempt to determine if they can be reconciled by other testimony or evidence. There was obviously, in this case, substantial conflicting testimony, and quite frankly, more than what the court would normally see in this matter. So the court has to look at and say, okay, which of these parties is the believable party? And when I do that, the court looks at the only other testimony that Mr. Trooper Bilecki, in this matter, a state police trooper for over 5 years. She claims that she investigated in this particular incident, that she as it relates to the show cause, that were allegations by the petitioner that the respondent told his daughter to beat that bitch down. However, the court would note that the two children that were in this case, one adult, one a minor, eyewitnesses, and they stated that in fact that those allegations were not made. That in fact Trooper Bilecki could not confirm any of those particular allegations. There were also testimony of a B&E, and I don't see that Trooper Bilecki did not state that again that it was, or that the petitioner did not say it was the respondent in this case, but court finds it interesting that again the petitioner own testimony states that her daughter had said that she had basically that she had taken the screws out of the one door and had left the slider open. Notwithstanding that she continued to at least give an inference that it was the respondent in this particular matter, even after both the daughters had denied this incident on the show cause occurring, and that the other one had made an explanation as to why those doors had the issue that they were in. The court will note that when the petitioner testified, she testified that she went to the pole barn to confront the respondent. Court finds that interesting, that if she is going there to confront him, that clearly she does not have the fear or trepidation that she claims over the course of these 15 to 20 other incidents that had occurred before in this matter. There's no doubt that she had some injury. The claim of the respondent was that the injury occurred is that she had taken a mic, threw it at a drum set, that she was picking up the mic again. He grabbed the mic stand, was pulling it away from her. She then at that point fell to the ground. He did testify that this other incident concerning the finger to the eye, that occurred as he was going out of the room or something, reached back to the door or something and stuck her in the eye, and that was an accident. In this matter, when the court again weighs the evidence and the credibility of the parties, the court is convinced in this matter that in fact the incident as stated did not occur as alleged, and that is the basis for the personal protective order. As a result, the court is going to terminate the personal protective order in this matter. The court also does not find by any burden of proof in this matter that the respondent had violated the personal protective order, so the court will in fact deny that violation as well. Court will enter an order to that effect. The court would instruct the parties. You do have a pending divorce action. Many of these issues can be taken care of in that by putting in place an exclusive possession order or something of that nature. The court can tailor it in such a way as to not infringe upon, again, either of the parties' rights in this matter, but to afford protection as may be needed in this matter. So that will be the order of the court. We'll conclude this matter at 12:33 p.m. You're free to go. Have a good day.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Close the record.